Senator Bong, maybe anything from you?
Just short manifestation. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Senator Sani, our Senate President, our colleagues in the committee. Of course, Vice President Sara Duterte. Good afternoon, ma'am. Welcome to the Senate. It is my honor to express my support for the approval of the budget of the Office of the Vice President, headed by the very capable, intelligent, and hardworking Vice President Inday Sara Duterte. Mr. Chair, naniniwala po ako na ang Office of the Vice President is in good hands and it is bound to achieve new and greater heights.
Okay.
VP Inday Sara's leadership is a testament of excellent governance. Her long, remarkable experience as local chief executive of Davao City, is a comforting assurance that she will be able to empower the office more to provide policies and programs that will ultimately uplift the lives of all Filipinos. The efforts of the Office of the Vice President to bring service closer to the people is a great innovation. I understand that the Office of the Vice President under VP Inday Sara's leadership has begun establishing satellite offices all over the Philippines. There are now OVP offices in Dagupan, Cebu, Surigao, Zamboanga, Bacolod, Tacloban, and Davao. And I'm sure also in Cavite. Ngayon lang nagkaroon ng satellite offices ang Office of the Vice President sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa. I am confident that with these reforms, the OVP will not only bring service closer to the people, but more importantly, bring us service closer more to the people. Mr. Chair, tiwala po ako na malayo ang mararating ng Office of the Vice President sa pangunguna ni VP Inday Sara. At mas marami pa itong matutulungan at malawak ang kanyang matutugunan. I wish well for the men and women of the Office of the Vice President. I wish well for the Vice President Inday Sara Duterte. At this juncture, after the question siguro of my very good friend, ilang katanungan lang, and then I move for the submit na natin ito sa plenary, no? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hindi, okay.
Mabilis talaga si Senator Revilla. Before I give the floor to our Deputy Minority Leader, I'd just like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Francis Tolentino, our very hardworking chairman of the Blue Ribbon. And Senator Bongo is also online, Your Honor. So, good afternoon, gentlemen. And we now give the floor for any opening statement to our Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Risa.
Salamat, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon. Mayong hapon, VP. I'll be accompanying and listening to my minority leader ask some questions about the OVP budget, and then I'll be asking some questions in the next hearing about the DepEd budget. Salamat, Mr. Chair. Salamat.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minority Leader Risa. VP Sara.
Thank you.
Congratulations on some of the innovations you've planning or implementing already. Is there anything else before we turn it over to the senators for any questions they may have?
That is it, Your Honor. We just want to leave as a permanent project the office and residence of the future vice presidents. And then for all the other projects that we are doing, that is based on the priority of the present staff complement of the Office of the Vice President.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Vice President. So now we'll turn it over to the Senate President if he has any questions. Senate President Pro Temp, any questions? I think the questions will come from the Minority Leader then.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll cut to the chase. Go ahead.
Welcome to our Vice President. Thank you for the presentation. So, according to the presentation, ma'am, your office requested 709 million pesos. So tama yung information that reached me that the OVP only requested total obligations budget of 709 million, and yet the NEP recommendation is 2.3 billion. So, anong sobra dito is, 1.6 billion po ang sobrang bigay sa requested. So, may we know if uh, you're really prepared to ramp up your activities kasi you only requested for 709 million pesos.
Yes, sir. We'd like to call Kelvin, our budget officer. He was with the previous administration and with the present administration.
So we'll recognize
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sir
With
Tenido.
regard
Go ahead,
to the
sir.
2022 budget proposal, it was submitted under the term of Vice President Leni Robredo. And upon the assumption of office of Vice President Sara Duterte, the OVP have consulted the DBM regarding the additional funding for 2023, specifically for the augmentation of the financial assistance subsidy for the operations of Magnegosyo Taday, the livelihood assistance, and the medical assistance program of the OVP. Further, we have also augmented the provision for the supplies and materials for the implementation of the Pagbabago campaign, and then the provision for welfare goods for the during disaster, and the food boxes for individuals in crisis and emergencies po. Thank you.
So that
With your permission, Minority Leader, I'd just like to acknowledge the virtual presence of our Senior Vice Chair, who will be chairing the budget hearing of the DepEd later, Senator Pia Cayetano. Good afternoon, ma'am. Go ahead, Minority Leader. Virtual lang, virtual. Ako po.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was what I suspected. So, since the budget call was early this year, so submitted by the previous office of the Vice President. So, it is correct to say that the office of the Vice President, the incumbent one, you're really asking for 2.3 billion. You asked for that. You asked for the 2.3 billion pesos. Tama ba, Kevin?
Yes, sir. We have consulted the DBM po.
Yeah, so then DBM gave you the full amount that you requested. Okay. So, okay, let's now go to one item which I'm also being asked kasi as a legislator, tinatanong din ako doon about the confidential fund. Ano ba ito?
I'd like to acknowledge also Vice Chair of the committee and the Chairman of the Committee on Basic Education, Senator Win Gatchalian. Afternoon, sir.
Okay. I have to ask this, Madam Vice President, and to your staff, because I'm also being asked as a legislator. This is, sabi nila, this is a first for the OVP. I do not know if that is a correct, but a 500 million peso allocation for confidential funds. So apparently, siguro when the last office of the Vice President made the submission during the budget call, there was no confidential fund. And then the new office of the Vice President asked for 500 million. May we know how?
Before I give the floor to the Vice President, with your permission, Minority Leader, dear colleagues, just to state for the record that the OVP, just to place things in perspective now, Your Honors, the OVP, I'm looking at the records, received confidential or intelligence funds for 13 years, from year 2000 to 2012, Your Honor. So that's just to place that on the record.
Was it confidential or intelligence? Para, I think there's a difference. There's a difference.
There was no distinction, Your Honor, until 2011 when it became, I think there was a distinction made between confidential, which were given to civilian agencies, whereas intelligence is given to, I hope I'm not wrong, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'll subject this to some colatilia, but I think intelligence is given to the military and
So now-
security agencies, Your Honor.
So proper terminology now would be confidential.
I think the proper terminology now is...
That is how I understand.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, it may have been given before, let us say, in amounts of 5 million pesos in 1 year, but this time kasi 500 million pesos in 1 year. So may we know how are we also to answer the questions asked of us, how to justify this item in the OVP's budget?
Yes. Yes, I'd like to repeat the manifestation of Senator Angara, Your Honor. Since 2003 to 2012, there were funds, intel and confidential funds that were granted the office of the Vice President. And as to the amount, Your Honor, and the propriety of the confidential funds, as we have manifested in the House of Representatives, we leave it to the honorable members of the Senate to decide on this matter, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. So when you made that statement pala, that refers is exactly to the same item in the budget. So thank you for that. And then ang nakikita ko lang po kasi is the plan is also to build a permanent home for the office of the Vice President, and I think there is an amount here of 10 million for land acquisition. So have we already identified the specific lot that we intend to acquire or purchase for the permanent home of the OVP?
Yes, Your Honor. Right now, we are talking to GSIS of properties under them that can be donated or sold to the Office of the Vice President as a permanent property of the Office of the Vice President. We initially allotted 10 million for thinking of a down payment just to secure the contract for next year, and then ask for additional amounts for multi-year payments of the property.
Do we already have an idea, Madam Vice President, of the total acquisition cost of the lot? And then do we have an idea already now of the total cost of the structure itself?
Right now, sir, we are looking at one property only, and that is the Coconut Palace. But there is no amount yet identified or given by GSIS. But we are still looking at other properties as well of the government that can be used, given to the Office of the Vice President for a permanent office.
At least we know the medium to long-term plan of the Office of the Vice President. So, kasi tatanong ko nga sana yun, why not use the Coconut Palace? Yung pala, this time, it's a purchase of the, possible purchase of the Coconut Palace, and maybe renovation to accommodate yung mga museum, something na mga plano po natin. Well, at any rate, Mr. Chairman, so once we acquire, what is the plan, Madam Vice President, once we have this permanent home? We will no longer maintain the satellite offices that we are currently maintaining.
Your Honor, we still intend to continue the satellite offices because these are the offices that cascade down the projects of the central office. Particularly when we came in, we saw that the medical and burial assistance of the Office of the Vice President, which started during the term of Vice President Noli de Castro, was concentrated in the NCR area. So the satellite offices deliver those assistance to the areas where we established them.
Then siguro talagang tinangkilik yun, ano? Our constituents really availed of the medical and burial services. Well, nakita ko rin po yung mga effort natin to give a lot of services to our people. We have food trucks, Peace 911, Pagbabago, and we have this Libreng Sakay. But of course, when we try to replicate what the entire government is doing, it will really cost us. It will cost us a lot, and we really cannot afford it. Kaya napansin ko rin po sa Libreng Sakay, we have free transportation, but 5 buses. Meaning to say, we are limited to 5 areas siguro because kailangan predictable din yung services. So that's just an observation, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice President, na siguro we should just select the services that yung talagang kailangan ng taong bayan at saka hindi na binibigay ng ibang ahensya. Kasi for example, itong libreng sakay, DOTR, dito naman sa Metro Manila, tapos may mga fuel subsidy programs din, pati ang PNOC, gusto rin nila mag-offer na gano'n. So, as part of the medium-term fiscal framework of the Marcos administration, gusto rin nila yung fiscal consolidation, yung mga economies of scale. Pinag-aralan ko po kasi rin yung MTFF ng Marcos administration. So siguro we can we should not try to replicate the entire government setup through the office of the Vice President. May we get your reaction, ma'am?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Senator. Yes, sir, we are not duplicating or replicating the existing libreng sakay of the Department of Transportation. In fact, the buses, sir, were lent to the Office of the Vice President, which we lent to the DOTR.
With the permission of the body, I move for the approval of
Hold
the
on,
budget.
I was told, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Okay.
Senator Bongo, who's also committee vice chair, wants to make a manifestation.
Okay.
I would like to
Okay.
acknowledge one of our committee vice chairs, the kababayan of former mayor, now Vice President Sara Duterte, Senator Vice Chair, Senator Bongo. Sir, good afternoon. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair,
Are you
Vice
after?
President Sara Duterte, fellow senators, distinguished resource persons, and all those watching today. Allow me to deliver a quick manifestation. I will not be interposing any questions. I just want to express my full support for the budget of the Office of the Vice President. As the second highest office in the land, the Office of the Vice President is mandated to perform executive, ceremonial, and advocacy functions, as well as collaboration with stakeholders and organizations in both the public and private sectors to develop and promote programs that will uplift the lives of the Filipino people. Therefore, the OVP will need a strong budgetary support to realize their mandates and deliver what is expected of them. Mr. Chair, as you know, first time in a very long time po na muling sabay nanalo ang isang magkalyadong presidente at vice presidente sa ating bansa. Kaya naman masasabi kong napaka-crucial ng trabaho ng ating vice presidente ngayong administrasyon. She will work closely with the president. On top of that, she will also spearhead one of the most important agencies in the country, the Department of Education. Overall, she will play a vital role in nation building, economic recovery, and addressing educational gaps in our country. At isisingit ko na lang po, knowing the Vice President, since she started her public service, alam ko pong magagamit po ang pondo ng kanyang opisina sa DepEd, sa Office of the Vice President sa tama. At walang masasayang. Stricto po si Vice President. Mas stricto pa po siya kaysa kay dating Pangulong Duterte when it comes to sa paghawak ng pondo ng gobyerno. For 2023, a chunk of the OVP's budget will be allocated for good governance and social services. I am confident with the leadership of Vice President Sara Duterte. These programs will not only be successful but also beneficial to our countrymen. And I am also very much optimistic that with the help of the Office of the Vice President, we will soon recover from this pandemic. Tulungan po natin ang ating Vice Presidente, ang Department of Education. Again,
Na po ng permanenteng tahanan.
Again, I would like to reiterate my full support.
Kung meron pong mga taong dama po na
Pumasok.
yung dama po yung pakiramdam ng walang tahanan, tayo po yun, Mr. Chair.
Senator Go, we'll get back to you kasi nawala ho kayo for a while. Balikan ho namin kayo after Senator Gatchalian with your indulgence, sir.
Saan po ako nawala, sir?
Ano?
Saan portion po ako nawala?
Hindi partly, nawala.
Narinig na natin lahat.
Senator Gatchalian has the floor right now. Senator Go, with your indulgence, with your permission, kasi nawala ko kayo momentarily. We'll give you the floor again after Senator Gatchalian finishes his statement. Please.
Sige po, antay lang po ako.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Sinabi ko lang ho kung meron pong mga taong alam po yung pakiramdam ng walang tahanan, tayo po yun. Because wala ho tayong permanent home. And being an important institution, and OVP is also a very important institution, kailangan na ho tayo gumawa ng hakbang na makahanap po ng permanenteng tahanan. Hindi lang po ang Senado, kung hindi po yung mga opisina katulad po ng Office of the Vice President. So, Mr. Chair, I support that budget, and the 10 million down payment obviously is not enough, and so we will support an additional budget so that we will have a permanent home for our Vice President and the future Vice Presidents to come. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you for that forward-looking statement, Your Honor. We'll turn it back to Vice Chair Go if he wishes to continue his statement. Vice Chair Senator Bong, are you still online, sir?
Opo, sir.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. Medyo nawawala ko kayo kanina.
Mr. Chair, as you know, first time po since panahon ni President Gloria and Vice President Noli na magkasama pong nanalo ang presidente at vice presidente. Kaya napakasal po ng trabaho ng ating Vice President ngayong administrasyon. She will work closely with the President, and on top of that, she will also spearhead one of the most important agencies in the country, the DepEd. Overall, she will play a vital role in nation building, economic recovery, and addressing educational gaps in our country. For 2023, a chunk of OVP's budget will be allocated for good governance and social services. I am confident that with the leadership of Vice President Sara, these programs will not only be successful, but also beneficial to our countrymen. I am also very much optimistic with the help of the Office of the Vice President, we will soon recover from this pandemic. And knowing the Vice President Sara, since she started her public service po, alam ko pong magagamit sa tama ang pondo ng gobyerno at walang masasayang. Stricto po si Vice President Sara pagdating po sa paghawak ng pondo ng gobyerno. Mas stricto pa po yan sa dating Pangulong Duterte. Salamat. Again, I would like to reiterate my full support for the budget of the Office of the Vice President at saka po sa Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Bongo, Vice Chair of the committee. I'm sure your support is very much appreciated. Now we turn it over to the Senate President for hopefully the last intervention of the afternoon.
Without further ado, we'd like to second the motion of Senator Bong Revilla in approving the budget of the OVP on committee level to the plenary level once we resume our sessions on November. Congratulations po.
Thank you very much, Your Honors. Thank you, Mr. President, and congratulations to the OVP. We thank them for their presence, the personal appearance of VP Sara, and will favorably endorse it without prejudice to any requests that they may make towards our committee. Thank you very much, Madam Vice President.